Hey dudes and dudettes, welcome to GTRT, the place where the cool geeks gather. I'm Gino.
And this is Reggie.
And today we're gonna talk about probably one of the best shows, best superhero shows out there right now, Invincible on Amazon Prime. This TV show is based on a comic book written by Ryan Otley, Cory Walker, and of course Robert Kirkman from The Walking Dead. I have to say, this is probably the best superhero show it is. They follow the comic book almost to a T, including the gory and the bloody parts. When I explain it to people and they tell me, how can you explain this comic book? I say, imagine if Stan Lee wrote Spider-Man now. Like, it's exactly the same. It's just growing up as a kid, kind of like a little nerdy, not completely nerdy, but a little nerdy, you know, alone, no brothers, no sisters, in a school where nobody plays. Yeah, for a little while, you're like a normal kid, no? And kind of like in the Spider-Man kind of way. And then he starts knowing his powers and discovering himself. And he already knows that he lives with his father is Omni-Man, the most the Superman of that universe, of that world, you know? The most powerful superhero in there. So he has like a big shoes to fill.
I gotta tell you, like, I know this is one of those comic books that has escaped me forever. I know little to nothing about it, and because I never read it. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if because
you should be sorry.
I know nothing about it. I did a little bit of research here and there. I always see the comic because you read it. I remember you had it in your house. It's in an image imprint. But I never actually picked it up and got into the actual characters at all. Nothing. Like, I'm totally flying like ignorant here. I know that the way that the style of the comic book.
Yeah.
What did he do previously? The artist.
No,
like, did he do something different? Like previous, because it has a very homey kind of like.
But that's the thing, that
simple style, right?
And that's a good point, because when I saw the trailer for the first time, I saw the simple style. Reminded me of, for example, those cartoons that
it looked like Batman animated series
from the late '90s, early 2000s. You remember the Jackie Chan adventures?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. No? It's not bad cartoon style, but it lacks drama. It lacks something. It lacks color or something like that. Yeah. You know? And so I was thinking,
like a kid show, kind of like black, like just simple colors instead of having like super crazy.
So I was thinking, probably it's not gonna work out. But when I was watching the trailers, I saw some stuff that was like, wait, this thing is. I may not be completely with the cartoon style or the drawing style, but I was showing the trailer that a lot of things that happened in the comic book were happening in the trailer, straight up, like it happened
page by page, like they're following.
So I was thinking, okay, and the guys that do the art in the original comic books, their style is good, but it's pretty simple.
So minimalistic.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because they do backgrounds only when they need to. For example, in the city is being destroyed, then they need to. But if not, there's a wall. There's there's nothing on the background. There's maybe a color to differentiate it from the different characters. But that's about it. Unless he really needs it, no? But he does it on purpose, because you put all the attention on the characters.
Do they get like when you watch the show because I haven't watched the show either, I'm gonna have to pick up on that too. But do you get like a little bit of like they do like Dragon Ball kind of like super exaggerated fighting, or have any scenes?
No,
or do they still keep it to the comic book? Well, because I know sometimes they have that problem where basically if they see something really minimalistic. They always have to put Dragon Ball had that problem at the beginning where like there's these crazy scenes where like their dudes are moving and it's just like, and you're just like, what the hell? And then they take care of you in that sense, because you have like Master Roshi and then different characters saying like, oh my God, they're moving so fast that like I can't even see them. But
Yeah, you're right.
What happens with
because
like
in Dragon Ball
Invincible?
it's just you see sometimes you see like different
They fixed that with Super, but what happens with like in Invincible? Like have they had the
Invincible
fights?
is more realistic. It's very realistic. At the end of the first episode, the end
Spoiler.
of the spoilers.
You haven't watched it.
Or maybe I'll try not to make it too spoilery, but at the end of the first episode, they put a scene that is taken straight from the comic book, and in the comic book, it's straight up bloody as hell. So when I was checking it,
Yeah, I
so
saw that. I saw that.
No, so I'm checking
Huge
the
splash
episode.
pages, like really.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about the artists, now that you're mentioning that they are cinematic when they have to be. So when they're destroying the city and there's a big scene that comprises many buildings and something happening, they do it. They can bring it up to put attention into one character just as much as they can open it up, no?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these guys, the artists are completely on something else because they taking the page from the book straight to the cartoon,
Yeah.
and they make it work. Because in the comic book you see the action right when it's happening. A good artist knows that you don't make the action. The punch doesn't happen after or before.
Like a more,
no?
Does the actual show give you like a feeling of of a cartoon, or does it give you like an animated series?
Like cartoon animated series, no? Like
gives you animated series.
It's
so kind of like Batman, the same like that kind of thing.
So when the action scenes come to the animated series, as you're saying, and in the comic book you'll see a punch happening right when it's happening, as it should be, not before nor after, because it becomes timeless. No, every time you're watching that page, it's always happening. No?
Yeah.
So how are you going to put it into the animated series? So I was thinking, this guy's going to be impossible. First of all, the action is super cool, and it's extremely gory and bloody. It's not going to happen. Probably they're going to change it. Probably they're going to touch it up or whatever. I was expecting something like that.
This is why I always thought that, like when they first announced, and it's not it's comic book related, but not animated related. When they announced 100 Bullets and Transmetropolitans, for example, like I was just like, okay, how are they gonna do this, right? Because 100 Bullets is like basically Pulp Fiction noir, kind of like on steroids. And when they first announced Invincible, I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I know about the characters. I know the basic story about it because it does have. It's not only takes place on Earth. It also has like a space opera within it a little bit. I think they borrowed, like they didn't borrow, but they took a lot of really good parts of other comics and then added it in together. His costume's awesome. Like it has the Wolverine colors, like like the blue, yellow, white, black kind of thing. Yeah, so they have that.
It pops.
But it gives you a really good pop, and they do make him into a good hero because
that's the strangest thing, because usually comic or cartoons, animated series, comic books, that you want to make them darker, or the theme is not the normal usual theme. It's a little more darker. Usually the colors also go darker, I think these colors are so bright.
I think I think why Kirkman did that was because they wanted to disarm the person at the gate to basically say, okay, this is nothing, and then when you start seeing the actual themes that they deal with, because there's a lot of stuff in there that I was reading up on that the fight scenes in itself super gory.
Yes.
And when they do show the injuries, it's like bones out, like leg twisted, blood, like a lot of
kills.
Kills. Yeah, there's a lot of killing. There's guts, everything. Like,
but once again, there's a reason for it. So when it's happening, you don't go like, oh, it's just blood.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not gratuitous violence.
I've seen some reviews around, not many, like very, very few that are on that tip. That they usually, if they have something wrong on it, it's usually that the violence is too violent or. And obviously you can see that
those are the people that are basically not understanding that the comic book source.
They haven't read the comic book,
and that's what I noted. Like one of the reasons why I never find it curious was because of the art style. I saw the art style and I was just like, okay, well, this is just like some
I picked it up because
like
of
a
all
kid,
the reviews,
like a kid
no?
thing, right? Like a more younger
I was
Teen
in
Titans, like that kind of thing. I thought it was kind of like that.
I was with you too.
And then when I read, I started like checking it out every once in a while. I
Yeah.
would see that like, okay, it deals with like serious themes. There's a lot of really good writing in it, and the story in itself, and the different dynamics between the son and the father,
Yes.
and his family, and then the adversaries, and then and I don't want to spoil it too much, so that's why I'm trying to not go into too much detail about it. But when they talk about the reasons why his father's on Earth, which is really curious, and then his whole alien race, and
Yeah, of
it's really cool what they did and how they built it up, because I think they own how many issues for the comic, like 100, less than 100.
More than 100. More than 100. 150-ish, something
Yeah.
like that. If I don't remember correctly, but they
Because the story arc is
finished
really
the-
good.
Yeah,
The story
and they
arc is
finished the
really
whole
good.
thing. They finished. I mean, I heard that Robert Kirkman wants to take it up again, but this story is already done, so it's going to start it from something else.
Yeah.
You know? So if you want to get into once again, if you read comic books, or if you never read any comic books, you need to read this comic book.
Invincible,
This comic
yes.
book is amazing. Not only is it amazing, but now you have Amazon Prime that is doing a pretty amazing job at translating that comic book into an actual animated series. As I said before in another conversation we were having, I don't know if here or before, but I think I said that the best way to put it is that Invincible is like if Stan Lee wrote a Spider-Man right now. Except, and being that we're living in these times that are more realistic, and we have TV shows with Game of Thrones or things like that are trying to be more
Yeah,
bloody
even
and
Walking
more
Dead.
real- even if you're
Walking Dead was another source
even if
that
you're
he wrote,
fantasy, you
so.
try to be a more realistic thing. This is the comic book that Stan Lee would have come.
So how many seasons do you think is gonna take, like, for them to do like the interpretation of the story? Like, you think
It shouldn't take
like
too
what,
long
for, like,
because
5?
it shouldn't take too long. This first season was, I think, one issue and a half, maybe 2 issues. It's not too much. They have a well where to take.
A lot of
where to take to make this show whenever they want. But Robert Kirkman is behind this thing, so he can also he thinks, oh, we can take this off.
And
We
he also
push
has
it
that
up a
Walking
little.
Dead money, so like he's.
But this is the thing. He's a fan. And that's why his show, even Walking Dead, is the show that doesn't wanna die.
Well, they have 2 now, so like forget about
Yeah.
it. Like they have
No.
Fear of the Walking Dead, they have
But-
Walking Dead, and even after they killed Rick,
Yeah,
they
you know what I'm saying?
or he
So
disappeared, or who knows what the hell
guy
happened.
has a prolific mind. He can write.
He can do it.
He has one comic book called Battle Pope. You should pick it up.
Oh my God, I know.
The
That
Pope.
is-
Imagine if the Pope was a superhero who, anti-hero. Battle Pope was an anti-hero who kicks ass
I totally
all over the
forgot
place,
about that.
drinks, goes from, is a womanizer, something like that.
Listen,
but he's a Pope.
go read Battle Pope, because if you were pissed off at Sinead O'Connor back in the 80s and the 90s, now you're gonna get really pissed off about this.
But Robert Kirkman came up with Battle Pope and many others. So we are just kind of becoming accustomed to his name after Walking Dead, and now after this thing, I heard that he's planning of making a movie of this. So
What, of Battle Pope?
No, of Invincible.
Oh yeah.
So now
100%. I'm like Battle Pope. I was like,
put
there's
it
no way.
3 to 4 years, put it that way, and people are gonna like it. That's for sure.
So if he makes a movie about Battle Pope, it's like a sequel from like the 2 Popes, that movie, that recent movie with like Anthony Hopkins. Like,
Who knows, man? Who knows? But I don't think so. Robert Kirkman don't
no,
play.
listen, he's gonna disarm you.
Don't
Like,
play that.
even if you go read Battle Pope or any of his comic books, he just disarms you. Like Kirkman, that's his deal. That's how you ended up with Walking Dead, which is basically, it's a super gory comic book, black and white. It's up to recently it didn't end, and the way that it ended it was really good compared to like the way that they ended the arc for Rick in the series, or whatever they're gonna do in the movies. They're gonna come out with a movie too. So it's probably that. It's probably because like the Walking Dead movie is gonna come out, and then he'll do Invincible?
I don't know. I don't watch Walking Dead. Could
No,
be.
it's gonna come.
Could
It's coming
be,
out
could be,
because
could
they
be.
have it. They have to resolve that. They have to resolve that story arc. They left it so ambiguous because it wasn't the same like when his kid died, Coral.
But once again,
But,
I have no idea because I don't watch it. I watched like one season after that.
it's-
I became too crazy, I was like,
was-
all right,
yeah,
I'm gonna wait.
It's
I'm
the
gonna
show
wait.
that will
No.
never die.
But that's what I'm saying.
100%
And now
this
I
show
don't
will
want to
never
watch
die.
it because it would never. Like, it's like watching, watching.
You know, it's like watching Supernatural.
No.
Same. The
Or-
same thing. You watch Supernatural and they just come. I would be even amazed if like they come up with different versions.
Or the
of,
day
like,
of the day of our lives or something like that.
Oh, you're talking about like, that's a soap
No,
opera.
imagine that the love is the superhero opera. Like I don't need that.
Is
I don't need
okay.
anything that lasts too long. I don't need. Like
Okay, question.
But this guy.
I got a
Tell
question.
me.
Is Walking Dead a soap opera?
By now
To
it
be
is,
honest?
man. By
Really?
now it is. No, like it's not about the dead people. It's about the interaction between the human beings.
Well, we know
no?
that from off the bat, but like
That right there is all you need to know. but this is the thing. The thing is that same thing could help this book because the book is already done. We already know what is happening. Most people that are watching it don't know, but people that read comics
without getting
or
too complicated, they could actually do it. I think they probably
if they
cut out a
want to
couple
say, okay,
things,
I'm gonna
but-
make it 5 seasons, they could. Yeah, I'm gonna make it 3 seasons, they could too. There's some things that they could take out, whatever. The thing is, in 3 seasons to 4 seasons, people that don't read the comic books, that don't know how amazing this thing is, they all gonna know how amazing this thing is. In three episodes already, people are like going crazy all over the internet. So he knows he already has these people as fans.
They got hooked.
No, as fans. So in 3-4 years, you make a movie. They don't need to know the comic books. They don't need to know. For example, the Avengers. They don't need to. They know kind of who is Spider-Man. Who is, even if you don't know the comic
Well,
book, if
yeah,
you don't read them, you know
it's-
how
yeah.
they came to be. Kind of.
Yeah, it's
So,
different. It's
you know,
different because
But
they
this
have-
guy is completely unknown. So you need a way to introduce him to the people. No.
Yeah, to the audience.
Entonces, people are watching for 3-4 years.
I really
love it.
listen.
Then you bring it as a movie,
I really like
you
how
know?
they designed it. I like the comic book design because it does give you iconic kind of like heroic like in the setting for the comic book and the character. I really don't like Omni-Man's outfit in the comic book. I don't know why. It just looks. I like when
I'm cool with it, though.
when they do parody, but it's just that it's the only parody. Like he's the only parody character in the comic book for me.
No, but all of them.
Because he looks like because
they,
they wanted to make him so Supermanish.
Ah, he
that
is
they had,
Superman,
I know, but I don't think he needed
the
to
whole
do that.
Guardians, the Guardian team that comes in,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the first episode, all of them are the Justice League, and
Yeah.
they all represent somebody in the Justice League. No? So that's what I'm saying. Like and some people, I don't know. Some people say it's a parody, and I don't think it's a parody. It's an homage. I think he did like an idea of how these superheroes are, bring them to this era. Okay, we're not living in the 50s, 60s anymore, or whatever. We're gonna make it a little bit more realistic, bloody. No, things happen, people die, and they really die, and
extremely death. Extreme
science works. So if a superhero grabs somebody at super speed, it's a big chance that the human being is gonna die because it's like junking them at super speed, so something like that. So they kind of use science to
it's not something so extreme.
So now when you're watching it, there's drama. There's kind of like you're watching something that is fantasy, and at the same time you're like, all right, it's gonna get to some reality. As in other shows we've talked about that. There's always that if you kind of bring it to you can do anything you want just as long as you bring some kind of basic sense of reality, so you can bring it to where
he does a good job of humanizing characters. That's what I really like about him when he writes, and when I first read Walking Dead, for example, he made you so relatable to the characters because that's one of the best things about having like a graphic novel like that. And I think that Invincible, once I read it, then it'll probably fall into that section where it's like it is a comic book heroics, and it's a hero-based comic book, similar to like JLA, but you have a lot of graphic novel tendency story where like most comics today, I think 97%, 93% of them, probably between there, are more graphic novel based. And that's why now you have like, it's a different kind of thing when how they make comics.
To a full story.
Yeah, because you have Grant writing like Grant Morrison and guys like that, and you have for example, like Kirkman who does this, and a whole bunch of different. Alan Moore, obviously has so much influence with Watchmen, where you get a more serious kind of theme in the comic book, even though you have the artist style is very comical. It's very this is a guy that could do a Peanut page, like he could do Peanuts, and nobody would care. He could do like Sesame Street.
Because it's minimalistic.
It's very minimalistic and it's very simple, and it disarms you. It gives you a sense of innocence where there isn't, and then it humanizes the character, and then from there you.
So the art itself is like that. The writing.
It's really soft. It's really soft. The art is very soft. It's very delicate. I really like it, man. I really like it.
But it surprises you. It goes well with the writing. It's like
that's where I would see people having problems with the violence, where they.
That's what I'm saying. Like and I think it's on purpose in the comic book too. No, like as you said, this you see it as simplistic, and you're like, all right, cool. You like the writing. It seems realistic. All of a sudden, this thing happens. You're like, oh, you keep reading it because there's a consequence to some action that just happened before, and you're like, and the consequence is realistic. It's a realistic consequence. It's not like you're reading Marvel or DC comics and this guy died, the hero or the enemy died, and they're gonna come back in 3-4 more episodes, maybe a year, 2 years, but they're gonna come back. No, but
one of the things that I would like to see is how they actually decided to make it like an animation movie, because an animation series. Sorry, because I thought that Amazon Prime would just kind of like say no, like let's make like a live show kind of thing, but I don't think it would have been able to work because of the levels of violence. But because they did that, Doom Patrol was great. When they did that, they did like the live show.
Doom Patrol does have a little bit of a history, but nobody knows this. So like, once again, give it 3-4 years. Maybe what you're saying is, oh, it's too bloody. Maybe they can do it bloody because now they know which TV show. Oh, it comes from this show, which is bloody, which is gory. We know why it's gory. We can make a live version of it, knowing the story itself now. No, it's not gonna be a Batman versus Superman where people are like, Superman is not like that, because you don't know, you haven't related to the first movie. Now that we see this Snyder Cut, we know that it's related to the past movie, which is related to the first movie. No, so now if Robert Kirkman is doing this because he wants to establish that history for you to know already. So when he brings in the future another series or a movie or whatever, you're gonna already know. You don't. Oh, it's Invincible. No, you don't have to go again and do the intro again.
What else has he written? Has he written anything else like that we can know of? Like he has Battle Pope, he has Walking
He's written a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC, but he's a creator. So every time he writes for Marvel, he has to leave because in those companies, the editorial always want to control, no?
Yeah, they have to deal with it.
This is my...
The thing is, the best thing that I
saw... So he's like, okay, cool, I write this one. He writes miniseries. Okay, I write the 1 to 4 to 6 issues. One is finished and I'm done, and people buy it because it's Robert Kirkman, but he doesn't want to stay there because he said in the interviews, he's like, he needs the freedom to...
Well, he doesn't. He's not. The thing is that with especially with Walking Dead and Invincible and even Battle Pope, he doesn't have problems with continuity, right? He just kind of goes from the start of this, like he starts from the beginning and then kind of goes all the way to the end. Whereas like when you deal with comic book characters like JLA, you have groups like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. It's been Thanos. Sandman has that too, where it's like
Robert Kirkman doesn't have that
guys come in and I think now they're doing like a comic book where they have the dreaming for like Sandman, and it's the same thing. It's kind of like they have to stick to that. They can't tinker too much. Whereas like with Invincible and new series.
But that's the thing that we can rest easy knowing that Robert Kirkman is a producer on this.
As long as he's involved, and as long as he's involved,
he wants to be a producer of the next movie, so we know it's going to be cool. We know that his own creation is going to be taken care of, which is not what is happening right now. For example, as an example, in Lucasfilm, with Lucas already sold his Star Wars, and now look at what they're doing with it, and he doesn't know how to stop it, But Robert Kirkman knows that every time he owes somebody, okay, I own this. This is mine. I own it.
I think
and I can do this. I can do other things.
I think the thing with, especially with if we're gonna compare apples to apples with Star Wars, is that they want to make the money back so fast that they're just pumping. Whereas like now we have these shows like you have The Boys, you have Doom Patrol,
and I think Amazon Prime is taking care of
even the Expanse, like books like that are, they have their pace, they have their story, they want to have a finality. There's not this excess of just like trying to make money.
I think
that's what happened with Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? At the end,
But I was going to say that
we're going to make money, and then it doesn't matter.
Robert Kirkman is in a good company right now. Amazon Prime is a good company. Probably even better than Netflix, because Netflix produces too much. Sometimes I don't even know what they're doing, and also a month, 2 months later, I know that something already happened 2 months ago, because they keep making things and they never do the proper advertising for it. But Amazon Prime, every show that they have, they cannot take care of it, and they all good. They all good. Whatever you want new, if they are in Amazon, they probably gonna like it. The Voice is a good example, but I'm watching a bunch of stuff there. Alex Rider, which is a young adult novel for young adults.
Isn't that kind of like James Bond?
But I came across a few years ago. I went to a book convention, no comic books, book convention, and in one of those book areas, one section was this bookstore had a section of comic books or graphic novels together, and they have an Alex Rider graphic novel, and I was like, it's a graphic novel. I like a graphic novel, so I'm gonna try it, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I tried this show in Amazon Prime. Same thing. They grab the connection, the book. The whatever they taken it from, and they respect it. They make it a little bit better, and they respect it. And you're gonna like it because they respect it. Regardless of if you are a comic book fan, if you are an Invincible fan, you're gonna love this. If you are just a guy who likes superheroes, you're gonna love this. If you like great shows, great writing, you're gonna love this. If you just like gory stuff, bloody gory stuff, you're gonna love this. This is
and even space. It has a space opera element too. So
yeah,
it has that too. So to me, that appeals to me.
They have the drama too. So
and it's really well written.
Human connection. So boys, girls, adults, kids, everybody can watch it. And well, I would say teens up because it's bloody, it's gory. So it's on you to.
So where did they rate it at? Like what, 7, like 16, like what are we doing? Like 16, 12 years? Like nobody 12-year-old can watch the show. It's not for 12-year-olds.
If I was 12, yeah, I could watch it. So I would say if you know your kid, you know what kind of kid you have, and it's a 12-year-old who is, your kid, he could watch it. But I know there's other kids that are more innocent or whatever, and they're not ready. They're still watching other Miraculous or whatever. They're not ready for it.
Is there anything? No. Is there anything in any of the story arcs that's like really, like there's no rape, there's no like nothing like that, right? I don't think so.
No, actually, there's one but it's not graphic.
I mean, like anything like
it's not graphic.
There's no like incest. There's no like
anything
taboo.
No.
Like taboo in it, right?
It's a superhero thing. The only thing that it is bloody. And they do it for a real reason, and that's a good point. Thank God for reminding me. They do that for a real reason, because they are making the point of what would be the war if real superheroes live in the war. Okay, what will happen?
So my last question is this: which one would be bloodier, Ultimate Universe, Marvel, or Invincible?
No, Invincible is.
Because the Ultimate Universe is just like extreme,
but it's two different
crazy,
things.
Right?
That's the word. The Ultimate Universe is extreme. They are not that bloody, but they just go to extremes. Like the blob eating whatever. That's extreme.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's just ridiculous.
It's not even bloody. It's
just
extreme.
Insane. Like
but Invincible is bloodier. But it's once again why they are bloodier. They are superheroes living in the real world. What will happen is they fight. Blood. What will happen if there's a friendly fire? People would die. How would they die? These guys have beams. They are superpowers. So if something happens to them, they're not just they're gonna explode. Some of them are gonna explode. Some of them are gonna lose limbs or whatever. That's reality in this world, because these guys have superpowers. So the blood comes because of the reality of it.
So they don't have
you know?
Captain America beating the crap out of the Hulk because he's a jerk off. That's not like because
Not
even
in,
that
not in my
without-
comic book, not in my comic. But I never read. I do remember reading Ultimates, and you're right. There's like a difference between being extreme and being bloody. This Invincible could be bloodier, but they are not extreme. They are not as extreme as Ultimate. There's a reason for everything, and you understand it. And then you don't go like, oh, it's whatever. Oh, it's too much blood. Then you go, oh, this is what's happening to people that live this life every day, no?
Yeah.
Now, what would happen if something happens, superheroes with extra superpowers start fighting in the middle of a city, what would happen? There's people living around, that's what happens. And people is like, oh, whatever. And you get to see it. So that's why people get a little, and what attracts them, if you give them, once again, like, as we always say, if you give them a real writing, real reason for something, they would take anything. No.
We can't fight that. We can't fight Kirkman. That's all we can say.
But I'm saying this is a show. So I would say I would give it 9.5 out of 10. 9.5.
Really
Knowing that the comic book is 10 out of 10. So this one is 9.5 because there's some stuff that you can really connect to the
That's fire.
But no, it is fire, man. Like there's a reason why Robert Kirkman used to write in his comic books Invincible, the best superhero comic book in the galaxy. I don't know if it's in the galaxy or in the universe. Marvel Comics used to do Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, things like that. But this guy had the audacity of writing that. Why? Because this comic book is the best superhero.
He had the
comic book
stones.
now. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's about all for today's episode of the Geeks of the Round Table show, my friends. Remember to like this video, share it,
Comment.
tell everything.
Subscribe.
Remember, do everything, okay? We don't need to remind you. See you next time, and remember, stay hip to the geek.